Ǧinīn is a Palestinian city in the northern West Bank. It serves as the administrative center of the Jenin Governorate and is a major center for the surrounding towns. In 2007, the city had a population of 39,004. Jenin is under the administration of the Palestinian Authority. Etymology: Jenin was known in ancient times as the village of Ģinīn, or Tel Ģinīn. Tel Ģinīn is located at the center of what is today Ģinīn's business district. The word ģinīn means water spring in Arabic and Hebrew, and the word Ģinīn might be related to the Hebrew word and the Arabic word, both of which mean garden. The Arabicized name Ģinīn ultimately derives from this ancient name. The association of Ģinīn with the biblical city of Ein Ganim was recognized by Ishtori Hapaki. History: Ģinīn has been identified as the place Ģinīn mentioned in the Amarna letters from the 14th century BCE. 4 terracotta lamps of Phoenician origin dated to the 8th century BCE were discovered in Ein Ģinīn by archaeologist G. During the Roman era, Ģinīn was called Ģinī, and was settled exclusively by Samaritans. The people of Galilee were disposed to pass through their city during the annual pilgrimages to Jerusalem. Mamluk era Dimashqi, writing around year 1300, said that after the rise of Turk power, the empire was divided into 9 kingdoms, or mamlakat. Ģinīn was listed as one of the places belonging to the kingdom centered at Safad. Yaquit described Ģinīn as a small and beautiful town, lying between Nablus and Bazan, in the Jordan province. There is much water, and many springs are found here, and often have I visited it. In the late 13th century, Mamluk emirs stationed at Ģinīn were ordered by Kaloyan, the Sultan, to ride every day with their troops before the fortress of Akka, so as to protect the coast and the merchants. Ottoman era: during Ottoman rule in Palestine, Ģinīn, Lāģin and the Carmel area were for part of the 17th century ruled by the Bedouin Turabe family. In the mid-18th century, Ģinīn was designated the administrative capital of the combined districts of Lāģin and Aģlin. There are indications that the area comprising Ģinīn and Nablus remained functionally autonomous under Ottoman rule, and that the empire struggled to collect taxes there. During the Napoleonic campaign in Egypt, which extended into Syria and Palestine in 1799, a local official from Ģinīn wrote a poem enumerating and calling upon local Arab leaders to resist Bonaparte, without mentioning the Sultan or the need to protect the Ottoman Empire. In the late 19th century, some members of the Jarrah family, who formed part of the Malakan in Ģinīn, cooperated with merchants in Haifa to set up an export enterprise there. During the Ottoman era, Ģinīn was plagued by local warfare between members of the same clan. The French explorer Guérin visited in 1870. In 1882, the Palestine Exploration Fund's survey of Western Palestine described Ģinīn as the capital of the district, the seat of Akimakam, a town of about 3,000 inhabitants, with a small bazaar. The houses are well built of stone. There are 2 families of Roman Catholics. The remainder are Muslims. A spring rises east of the town and is conducted to a large masonry reservoir, near the west side, of good squared stonework, with a long stone trough. This reservoir was built by and el-Hadi Mudir of Acre in the first half of the century. North of the town is the little mosque of dʒə́'niḥn, with a good-sized dome and a minaret. British Mandate period from 1936. Ģinīn became a center of rebellion against the British mandatory authorities. By the summer of 1938, residents of the city embarked on an intensified campaign of murder, intimidation and sabotage that caused the British administration grave concern. According to a British report to the League of Nations, the city played an important role in the 1936–39 Arab revolt in Palestine, prompted by the death of Izz ad-Din al-Qassam in a firefight with British colonial police at the nearby town of Yabad months prior to the start of the revolt. On 25 August 1938, the day after the British Assistant District Commissioner was assassinated in his Jenin office, a large British force with explosives entered the town. After ordering the inhabitants to leave, about 1/4 of the town was blown up. Jenin was used by Fawzi al-Kawakji's Arab Liberation Army as a base. Jordanian control in the 1948 Arab-Israeli War. The city was defended by the Iraqi army, then captured briefly by the forces from Israel's Carmeli Brigade during the 10 days fighting, following the cancellation of the first ceasefire. The offensive was actually a feint designed to draw Arab forces away from the critical siege of Jerusalem, and gains in that sector were quickly abandoned when Arab reinforcements arrived. The Jenin refugee camp was founded in 1953 by Jordan to house displaced Palestinians who fled or were expelled during the 1948 war. For 19 years, the city was under Jordanian control. A war cemetery for Iraqi soldiers and local combatants is located on the outskirts of Jenin. Contemporary period in 1967, on the first day of the Six-Day War, Jenin was captured by the Israel Defense Forces. In 1996, Israel handed over control of the city to the Palestinian National Authority in keeping with the Oslo Accords. Known to Palestinians as the Martyrs' Capital, the camp's militants, some 200 armed men, included members of Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigades, Tanzim, Palestinian Islamic Jihad and Hamas. By Israel's count, at least 28 suicide bombers were dispatched from the Jenin camp from 2000 to 2003 during the Second Intifada. Israeli Army Weekly Barmahani attributes at least 31 militant attacks, totaling 124 victims, to Jenin during the same period, more than any other city in the West Bank. During the Al-Aqsa Intifada, Israel launched Operation Defensive Shield with the stated aim of dismantling terrorist infrastructure so as to curb suicide bombings and other militant activities. The army encircled and entered 6 major Palestinian population centers in the West Bank, among them Jenin. During the Battle of Jenin in April 2002, 23 Israeli soldiers and 52 Palestinians, including civilians, were killed. Human Rights Watch reported that the refugee camp, which was the major battleground, suffered extensive damage. Witnesses stated unarmed people were shot and denied medical treatment, as a result died. Human Rights Watch have regarded many killings to be unlawful, such as the death of a 57-year-old wheelchair-bound man who was shot and run over by a tank despite having attached a white flag on his wheelchair. A 37-year-old man who was paralyzed was crushed under the rubble of his house. His family was refused to be allowed to remove his body. A 14-year-old boy was killed as he traveled to purchase groceries during the temporary relief of the curfew that was imposed by the army. Medical staff were shot at while trying to reach the wounded even after clearly being in uniform displaying the Red Crescent symbol. There have also been reports of Israeli soldiers using Palestinians as human shields. One father described how a soldier rested his rifle on his 14-year-old son's shoulder as he shot. Israel denied the entry of rescue teams and journalists into Jenin even after they withdrew. Over the following years, Jenin was subject to extended curfews and targeted killings. During a gun battle with Islamic Jihad militants whom Israel says were firing at troops from inside the UN compound, an Israeli military sniper shot and killed a UN Relief and Works Agency employee, Ian Hook, on November 22, 2002. The sniper reportedly mistook a cell phone in Hook's hands for a gun or grenade. In the framework of the Valley of Peace Initiative, a joint Arab-Israeli project is underway to promote tourism in the Jenin region. In 2010, 600 new businesses opened in Jenin. The Canaan Fair Trade is headquartered in Jenin. Director of the Freedom Theatre in Jenin, Giuliano Mercamis, was killed by masked gunmen in the city in April 2011. Mercamis co-founded the theatre with Zacarias Ubidi, former military chief of the LAQSA brigades who had renounced violence. Geography. Jenin is situated at the foot of the rugged northernmost hills of the West Bank, and along the southern edge of the Jezreel Valley, which the city overlooks. Its highest elevation is about 250 meters above sea level and its lowest areas are 90 meters above sea level. Immediately southwest of Jenin is the Sal Arabah Plain, while further south is the Marj Sanur Valley. About 1.5 kilometers to Jenin's east is Mount Gilbo. Jenin is 42 kilometers north of Nablus, 18 kilometers to the south of Afula, and 51 kilometers southeast of Haifa. The nearest localities are Umattat and Jalkamuz to the southeast, Karbatia and Zababda to the south, Birkin to the southwest, Kafr Dan to the west, Arena, Jalamar and the Arab-Israeli village of Makabul to the north, Deir Ghazala to the northeast, and Beit Qad and Urabadaif to the east. Government. Jenin municipality was established in 1886 under the Ottoman rule with no more than 80 voters, and elections were made every 4 years until 1982 when the Israeli government took control over the municipality until 1995. List of Jenin mayors. Municipal elections were held in Jenin on 15 December 2005. 6 seats each were won by Hamas and the local coalition of Fatah and the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine. Jenin was one of several Palestinian cities where Hamas showed a dramatic growth in electoral support. The mayor of Jenin is Hadam Rida. Demographics. According to the 2007 census by the Palestinian Central Bureau of Statistics, Jenin had a population of 39,004. The Jenin refugee camp of 10,371 with 9,571 registered refugees on 373 dunams. Some 42.3% of the population of the camp was under the age of 15. Public institutions and landmarks. The Khalil Suleiman Hospital is located in Jenin. The city has a monument honoring German pilots shot down in Jenin during the First World War, which incorporates an original wooden propeller. An old British Mandate landing strip, Makabul Airfield, is located in Jenin. The main and largest mosque of Jenin is the Fatima Khatun Mosque, built in 1566. Education and culture. The Arab-American University is located in Jenin's vicinity. Cinema Jenin is the largest movie theater in the area. The theater, which reopened in 2010 after a 23-year intermission, has indoor and outdoor screens, a film library and educational facilities. Strings of Freedom is an orchestra in Jenin founded by an Israeli Arab, Wafaa Yunus, who travels from her home in central Israel to teach music to the local youth. Since 2010, the Gilbo Regional Council has been working with the Jenin district authorities on the development of joint tourism projects. Bibliography. Ayalon, David, Sharon, Moshe. Studies in Islamic History and Civilization. In honor of Professor David Ayalon, Brill publishes. ISBN 9789652640147. Barron, B. ed. Palestine. Reportum General Abstracts of the Census of 1922. Government of Palestine. Chatty, Dawn. Nomadic Societies in the Middle East and North Africa, Entering the 21st Century. Brill publishes. ISBN 9789004147928. Conda, Claude Rainier, Kitchener, H. The Survey of Western Palestine. Memoirs of the Topography, Orography, Hydrography, and Archaeology 2. London. Committee of the Palestine Exploration Fund. Dumana, Beshara, Rediscovering Palestine, Merchants and Peasants in Jabal Nablus, 1700 to 1900, University of California Press. ISBN 978052020203709. Guérin, Victor. Description géographique historique et archéologique de la Palestine. 2. Samari, Pt. 1. Paris. L'Imprimerie Nationale. Hadoui, Sami. Village Statistics of 1945. A classification of land and area ownership in Palestine. Palestine Liberation Organization Research Center. Hadidi, Adnan. Studies in the History and Archaeology of Jordan, Volume 3. Taylor and Francis. ISBN 9780710213723. Hutteroth, Wolf Dieter, Abdul Fattah, Kamal. Historical Geography of Palestine, Transjordan and Southern Syria in the late 16th century. Erlanger Geographische Arbeiten, Sonderband 5. Erlangen, Germany. Vorstand der Frankischen Geographischen Gesellschaft. ISBN 3-92040541-2. Cole, Philip L. Kozelski, Mara, Ben Yehuda, Nachman. Selective Remembrances. Archaeology in the Construction, Commemoration, and Consecration of National Pasts. University of Chicago Press. ISBN 9780226450599. Mills, E. ed. Census of Palestine 1931. Population of villages, towns and administrative areas. Jerusalem. Government of Palestine. Negev, Avraham, Gibson, Shimon. Archaeological Encyclopedia of the Holy Land. Continuum International Publishing Group. ISBN 9780826485717. Palmer, H. The Survey of Western Palestine. Arabic and English name lists collected during the survey by Lieutenants Condor and Kitchener. E. Transliterated and explained by E. H. Palmer. Committee of the Palestine Exploration Fund. Quartet, Donald. The Ottoman Empire, 1700 to 1922. Cambridge University Press. ISBN 9780521839105. Robinson, Edward, Smith, Eli. Biblical Researches in Palestine, Mount Sinai and Arabia Petraea. A Journal of Travels in the year 1838. 3. Boston. Crocker and Brewster. Schultz, Johann Martin Augustin. Riesendigegens zwischen Alexandrien und Paratonium, die Libysche Worcester, SIWA, Egyptian. F. Fleischer. Strange, Le, Guy. Palestine under the Muslims. A description of Syria and the Holy Land from AD 650 to 1500. Committee of the Palestine Exploration Fund. Yazbak, Mahmud. Haifa in the late Ottoman period, 1864 to 1914. A Muslim town in transition. Brill publishes. ISBN 9789004110519.